Hi, I'm Trudy with Heal Wellness and Therapy, and today we are talking sleeping. This is my friend, and we are going to go over people who sleep on their side. Now, she is a back sleeper, but I would like to go over the common errors that people make with side sleeping and show you a more efficient alignment and a more healthy habit of sleeping on your side. So if you could, lay on your side for me how we know most individuals like to get comfortable on their side. Meaning, you know what, this is the habit that they get into once they've been sleeping for a certain period of time. Now, there's a couple things I want to point out here. Specifically, when you have your legs doing different things when you're sleeping on your side, it puts tremendous rotational tension into your pelvis and your low back. It also creates an imbalance between your hip flexors and your hamstrings for different legs doing different things. There's no support for either leg. More importantly, there's no support for the low back and the pelvis. If you look at my friend, she really is in a side bending position. Her entire rib cage is folding down into the bed, as is her pelvis. So it's kind of like she's just kind of crumpling to the side with no support for the low back. If we look at her upper body, her shoulders are completely rolled forward with no support between her arms. Her neck is in a side bent position. So there are a lot of things that we can change with this particular habit of sleeping. And if you're a side sleeper, I'm sure this looks familiar to you, that we want to make maybe just a little bit more efficient so that you can work on the habit of sleeping being something to help heal your body. So we're going to begin with the lower half. First things first, what you want to do with your lower half is always make sure what one leg is doing, the other leg is doing. So gently bend your knees up. So that is already a better idea. The problem with that is that our bones tend to get sensitive in our ankles and our knees, and you will only stay there a few minutes before you shift because of discomfort. Also, the big issue with this particular position is even though she's corrected her legs, her low back still has no support and she's on side bending. So we're actually going to begin this change of side sleeping position with her lumbar spine and her low back. I am a faculty member for the Institute of Physical Art, and I encourage you to check out their YouTube site as well. But we're going to really work the concept that we teach in the IPA, and that is that with sleeping, you sleep in a mid-range, loose pack, pain-free position. And that means of every single joint in your body. So for her, we need to get this in a more neutral or mid-range position. So push yourself up into a sitting position for me for a minute. Most people that sit on their sleep on their side, their waist tends to be smaller than their hips and their rib cage. So you can often just simply take a small blanket or a small towel, the width of the distance between the rib cage and the pelvis, and just allow that to actually support the low back area when the person sleeps. So it can be anywhere from about 1 inch to 2 inches in height, depending on the height of the person, but you want it to be the width from the base of the rib cage to the top of the pelvis. All right, let's lay back on down there. As we support that area of her low back, you can now see that her rib cage and her pelvis are no longer crumpling together, but actually have support underneath them. Now back to the legs. What we simply need to do is to take her top leg that's pointed downward and level it up so that there is space between her legs, but her joints are in mid-range. Simply done by using some postural king-size pillows. So what I like to do with individuals is tell them, make sure the pillows that you use to support your legs go all the way up to the top of your thigh, support your knee, support your entire leg and your ankle. So for my friend, she's not the tallest, a single king size pillow would work. If you are a taller individual, oftentimes what you will need to do is to use 2 large pillows, and how you will position them, lift your leg for 1 second for me, is you will position them, one more time, you will position them in the shape of an L, like your legs, but to be able to make sure that those bones are equally positioned and stay that way. So now we have the low back in a neutral, pain-free position. Our legs are now mid-range. in their joints motions, and they're also now parallel to one another, so there's no tension through the hips or the pelvis. Let's move on to the head. So for her, the important thing we need to teach her is to use the pillow to support her neck. Now she has selected a high quality down feather pillow, which is excellent. She just doesn't know how to use it. I strongly encourage down feather pillows for side sleepers. The only thing you need to do is make sure that it is the height of the distance between your shoulder and your neck. So for her, what we want to do is simply take the pillow, curl it up to support the neck, and rest her head back down onto the pillow. In that position, if her chin to her forehead and nose are parallel to the surface, this is a perfect height. If it needed to be taller, we could add a pillow underneath where she's hiding the sneaky little hand, which is exactly what we could do for her. Relative to the arms and the hands, most individuals place their hand underneath their head for one important reason. They don't have enough pillow here. So for her, what we can do is take a little bit of a thin pillow, place it underneath her feather pillow, curl that feather pillow back up again, rest her head down, and now her head is in neutral. Finally, what do we do with these arms? The last thing to do is to give her arms a job during the night. So simply giving her arms something to hug is helpful. A small pillow works perfectly fine. You don't need a large posture pillow, but just a small pillow works fine. But if you can see, what I've done is I've now taken her arm, just like I've taken her leg, and I've made it parallel to the bed. So her shoulder is no longer on tension. It is in the mid-range of its motion. Side sleeping in the efficient alignment. Give it a try, see if you can find yourself a new sleeping habit. Finally, like this video if you would like to. Also the comment section, if you have any questions for me, feel free to add them to that section. Subscribe to our channel, and if you'd like, select the bell so that when we have new videos, you will be notified of those videos. Thanks for joining me.